you are an activist, you're an actor, you're a mom, you're a director, you are so many things. But there was also a period in your career where you were blacklisted for 12 years. What was it exactly that happened that instituted that blacklist? And why did it last for 12 years?
Uh, it's very hard to say looking back on it, but it was the communist threat. It was the communist threat, and it happened in the 50s, in the 1950s, that um, all of the uh, all of the unions were formed by people who believed in communism. I mean, all the guilds, all the unions. And then they stopped believing in communism, but the unions were there nevertheless because for some reason, these were the people who helped to form the unions. And then there was a falling out after World War II with Stalin, and there were still so many artists, actors, musicians, writers who had grown up on the union movement and who still believed in that kind of communism, union communism. What they didn't find out till after the whole blacklist was over in 1964 was that Stalin was a butcher, that Stalin sent artists away to be imprisoned, that he killed them, that all of these incredible writers and actors who lost their work for all those years and who never were able to climb back again had faith in a false idol. And so, they were punished not only by this government for believing in what they thought was a great society, but they were punished when they learned, when Stalin was dead and Khrushchev took over, that Khrushchev told the world that Stalin had been responsible for the deaths of so many artists.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's intense. I'm so sorry that the industry had to lose you for that period of time because you're brilliant on every level that exists. But you came back both barrels blazing, though, didn't you?
I did.
You
I
came
did.
back both barrels blazing, and that brings me back around to this. So you have a documentary collection that we're celebrating right now, 20th Century Woman, the documentary films of Lee Grant.
Right.
And one of the documentaries I've seen a few of them, but one of them that I saw in real time was the one called When Women Kill. And I just was really interested to know with that particular documentary, knowing that you had been in Valley of the Dolls and that a portion of it, if not all of it, centers around the Manson women. If your part in that film and the circumstances that followed afterwards were an inspiration for you to make that particular documentary.
No, there was no connection between. I don't think any part that I ever did, any role that I ever did, and the documentaries. Uh, I I think um, that documentary was looking into how women uh, got into prison, and how many of them were there because they resisted husbands who were beating them or were vicious, or and that hit back landed them in jail a lot of times so
Yeah,
regretfully. But
yeah.
and so that was the impetus, the fact that they were put in jail, a lot of them for life, for defending themselves.
Then one of the other ones that you have in your collection is A Father, a Son, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that centers around your friends, Kirk and Michael Douglas. Was that a love letter for you to them?
Oh, such a love letter. I the very, very first movie I ever made was Detective Story.
Yes.
And I went from doing it on Broadway to going to Hollywood. And in that movie in Hollywood, Kirk Douglas plays the lead. Now, he was a star at a time when stars were stars.
Yes, ma'am.
He was, and such a dynamic guy because, his father was so vicious to him and so terrible to him when he says The Rag Picker's Son, which was this book that he wrote about he growing up with a father who beat him and who hated him, and his making it as an actor out of this tiny town where his father sold old clothes and went around with a donkey. And I mean, for that boy to have made it as an actor and gone to Hollywood, it was such an extraordinary a lifeline. And so much later on, Michael Douglas was a friend of my husband's, Joey Fury, who was a producer of all the documentaries that I did. Anyway, they were two guys hanging out together, smoking, drinking, and everything. And
I got you.
You know the name. And of course, they all went through this, kind of life swings and turns together. And I had made a lot of, really, I love them, great documentaries. And so they said, do one on us. And so we did. And it was a journey. It was a journey for them. And of course, it was a journey for me. And Michael, had his issues with Kirk. Kirk was as violent in a good way as his father had been to him, and they had family issues to work out. They had family issues.
It's nice to see, though, that they were able, or at least it appeared as though they were able to reconcile that by the time Kirk's life ended, not too long ago.
Well, they loved each other.
Yeah.
Parents and children have issues together, but there was no question that they loved each other deeply and admired each other.
But so parents and children, it's a very complicated and special relationship for sure.
Well, I have two daughters.
Yes, I told you I know about your one daughter.
Well, I have two daughters and I have 4 grandchildren.
Oh, look at you!
Yeah.
What's the best part of being a grandma for you?
Everything. I mean, family. And each one unique to itself. One girl is totally different from the other girl, but they're great girls. The 2 boys that Dinah has, I just marvel at my fortune, at my luck, to be, to be the grandmother and the mother of the family that I have. I'm a lucky little old lady, let me tell you.
You may be lucky and you may be a lady, but there's nothing old about you. Let's just put that out there, okay? There is nothing old about Miss Lee Grant. You were bad then, you were bad in the middle, and you just is badder now. Let's just put that out there.
Don't tell how bad
I am.
Don't you tell.
I won't, girl. It's our secret. Wink, wink.
Okay.
The one in 1985, Down and Out in America. I watched that a couple of times before we got together to speak today, and my mind is boggled over the things that are happening in 1985 that are still happening in 2021.
More.
Like the wages. When they said in that film that the wage was $3 and now it's only seven something, I was like, really? This is that was 1985. This is 2021. That's a shame and disgrace. Do
You're
you feel
so
like that
dead
sometimes when
on.
you go back and look at that
Well,
doc?
you know what? You picked up on something that I didn't even think of. Yes, of
Oh
course.
yeah. Yeah, I picked up on that. I picked up, and there was something else that somebody said. I forget which interviewee that you got this from, but and I think it was a guy where they were talking about how the farmers are being disrespected in this country, and they're trying to price farmers out of their homes and all that. That's still going, actually that is still happening, and it's gone even further. I watched another documentary called High on the Hog, which was streaming on Netflix, and there was a moment in that film where this young lady's grandfather was being priced out of his home so that they could run a freeway through his garden. He had a garden with collard greens and all kinds of vegetables that he had been growing and selling for decades. That family garden and that land had been in his family since slavery, and now he was being priced out for the government to build a freeway. So when I see stuff like that, and then I watch your documentary Down and Out in America, and I see that it's cyclical. If you don't, what is that old adage? If you don't acknowledge something in the first place, history will repeat itself. If you don't acknowledge it, it'll keep repeating itself. History keeps repeating itself with our government here, and I don't get it. I'm just like, why are we living in a country where farmers are being displaced out of their homes? Why are we living in a country where the average person can't even afford to pay their rent, let alone a mortgage on? Can't nobody pay no mortgage on $7 an hour.
I hear you, honey. I hear you. I you know, uh, I was open mouthed making that documentary, and especially with the farmers who were trying to get some of their money back from the bank, if you remember, where their money was put in a bank that was supposed to be for them. It was supposed to be a farmer's bank, and they withheld the money from the farmers who were going out of business unless they got their money back. I mean, the viciousness, the callousness of, of the people around them who were putting these farmers down and out of business. Uh, uh, I felt lucky. I felt fortunate that we had a camera there, that we had a visual of what these people were being put through, and that it would be history, that they couldn't hide it, that you could see uh, what they were being forced to do and leaving homes that they had been in for 100 years. I mean, it was despicable. There are, many reports that during this virus, during when people are in the houses as much as they are and can't go out, that the violence against women in this period has skyrocketed, so that it's not only history repeating itself, it's repeating itself in a way that is higher than it ever has been before.
And that's why it was so incredibly important for me to talk to you, because you are a filmmaker who had no fear when it came to tackling these types of issues during a time where people were not having it. They weren't. And so you were like, I don't care. This is what I'm going to do my film about. And you can go sit over there somewhere in a corner and be quiet. I applaud you a million zillion times for that. It's so incredibly wonderful. I won't even use the word brave, because it's not brave. It's just what it is. And it needed to be done, and it needed to be said. And I'm so happy that you were the person that did it. Because I
Me
don't
too.
think, yeah, and I don't think anybody else would have been able to do it in just the way that you did it. Because you have a very specific lens when it comes to your filmmaking that's kind of in your face and honest, but it has humanity to it all at the same time. And that's very hard to pull off cinematically. So thank you. Sorry. You directed an Emmy Award performance by one of my favorite people of all time, Miss Pearl Bailey,
Oh, yes.
in a
Yes.
project called Cindy Eller, A Modern Fairy Tale. Can you talk to me about that just a little bit?
And she just was such a knockout. She was canny, she was smart, and the scenes are great. And so when I was given an opportunity to do this little movie for this, like the public television, I asked her if she would do it, because just to spend more time with her. This is a lady, honey. This is a lady. And I also saw her on stage too, in Hello Dolly.
I was going to say, did you see her in Hello Dolly?
Oh,
Because I
oh,
did too.
oh, God.
Wasn't she wonderful?
Oh, my God. Oh, what a presence. So, yeah, I'm her fan. Yeah.
And I know that you had an autobiography called I Said Yes to Everything. To date, is that still true? Would you still say yes to everything?
Uh, well, I was hungry. You know, when somebody takes 12 years of your life and says you can't work in film, you can't work in television, which is what happened to me in the 50s, um, then any offer that comes uh, to act, and then later to direct was, I was starving. I had my appetite for work was just huge. I couldn't, you want to do this? Yes. You want to do that? Yes, yes, more, more, more. Give it to me, give it to me. And, so I did, I said yes to everything. And some of it was gorgeous and wonderful. And some of it was tacky, but I didn't care. I just wanted to work. That's all.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you can be funny. I saw you in Divorce American Style too. I've told you, I've seen your stuff.
Yes, you have.
I've seen your stuff. I know all about you, Miss Lee Grant. Yes, I do.
Don't tell. Don't tell.
I'm not gonna tell nobody. I'm not gonna tell nobody.
Okay, don't tell.
But I want to remind people that there's going to be that there has been a re-release of your 20th Century Woman, the documentary films of Lee Grant. That is out there for people to see. You take nothing for granted, and you go full throttle, or you're not going to go at all. Is that right? And am I right in that assessment? You want to tell me what Dinah's up to? You said she wrote a book, right?
The talent that Dinah has is so enormous in this book. It's so funny, it's so delicious, it's so terrible. I as her mother, I am stunned by this book and by her talent. And I say this because, she never got that many kudos from me. I'm like an acting teacher, so I'm not like my mother was with me, where I took a step, in the street and she said, "Oh my God, did you see the step?" She said, "Did you see how wonderful?" Well, Dinah didn't get that from me. She really had to earn her way as an actor. I'm telling you, this book is amazing.
Yeah, it's called The Real True Hollywood Story of Jackie Gold.
The, the real
Real True Hollywood
true
Story of Jackie
Hollywood
Gold.
story of Jackie Gold. What a woman Dinah is. My hat's off.
Oh, I'm a friend and a fan of both of you. I thank you so very much for taking time to speak with me and have this nice, invigorating conversation and, pulling a sister up when she needed to be pulled up. I respect that, and I wholeheartedly accept it and receive it. So thank you,
Where
Miss
are you now?
Grant.
Where are you?
I am in Los Angeles.
Uh-huh. Okay. It was such so much fun meeting you. You're adorable. And I really enjoyed you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. I try to make it enjoyable. I try not to make it like it's a shot in the arm with the COVID vaccine. You know what I mean?
I do. I do. Say hi to Mom.
I certainly will. I started to pull her up here, but I don't know what state she's in, so I'll leave her
Oh,
alone. No,
oh,
no, I don't mean it like that. My mother sometimes walks around here, and she likes to be fluffed up when she sees people
of
like you.
course. Oh,
So,
I'm very fluffed up myself, hon. This is not an accident. This and this, not an
I
accident
love
wearing my.
talking to you. I love talking to you. I
So
hope that we
you,
have an
hon.
opportunity to do it again. I'm such a fan, and I'm so enthralled by everything that you do.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Bye now.
And you're my cutie pie.
Oh, this is gonna be my clip I put on the internet. I'm so excited.
Okay. All right.
It's gonna be on Instagram. Be looking for it, Miss Lee Grant. Wink,
All
wink.
right, darling. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.